Part 141. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1401. Chapter 1401 You taught your son bad things 1. Fortunately, my son is smart enough to order takeout, otherwise we might have to work hard to have another son after being hungry for a day and a night. They, the greedy parents, finally remembered that there was still a son at home. Yesterday, they really completely forgot about their son. As a result, not only did the parents fail to take good care of their son, they also needed their son to be considerate and help them order dinner so that they would not be hungry for a while. Xiaomic, who was having abandoned, raised his little head dissatisfied while eating takeaway, glaring at his parents. "Mommy, I don't want younger brothers and sisters, I want delicious food." The takeaway he ordered was terrible, not as delicious as Mommy's cooking, but he would be hungry if he didn't eat it, so he ate it without any difficulty. 3 meals. Huh, the unscrupulous parents looked at their son in confusion. Little Mickey slapped his chopsticks on the table and began to question his parents. "Are there any parents like you? I want to complain to my grandparents, saying that you only know how to do your own things and don't care about your son's things. It's your fault that their grandsons are hungry and can only eat these unpalatable things. Take away." "Son, Mommy knows she was wrong." Qian quickly apologized, saying they were in the wrong. Qian was very hungry, so she apologized repeatedly, took the initiative to move her next to her son, took a box of white rice, and stuffed food into her mouth. "I was really hungry. I took a chopstick and ate something unladylike. I stuffed my mouth slowly and had no ladylike eating attitude." Tangyuj didn't care. For a while, he often worked to the point of forgetting to eat, and it was common for him to be hungry for 24 hours. He was relatively calm. The mother and son faced each other and ate slowly and slowly. Little Mickey sighed helplessly while watching his mommy devouring the food. "Why do I have such parents? Why is my mother an old woman in her 20s who is not sensible at all and still acts like a child? What should he do? Such an unreliable woman wants to have another child with a white ball daddy? How can this work? Will he be hungry for 2 or 3 days by then? Mommy, if you want to make me hungry, eat these unpalatable things, and stay at home alone for the sake of my younger brothers and sisters. I would rather you not do it. I love making younger brothers and sisters." Qian, who had stuffed a big mouthful of food, when she heard her son's words, most of the food in her mouth spurted out from her vagina, splashed on Tangyu's face, and flew everywhere, including little Mickey, which she barely thought was okay. On top of the stir-fried meat. "Mommy, how are you? Is it dirty?" Little Mickey looked at the stir-fried pork with a few grains of rice missing, and felt depressed. Fortunately, his bowl was not in trouble. Qian slowly turned her head, looked at her son, swallowed, and forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. "Son, what did you just say? Did I hear you correctly? How do you know the word hum at such a young age? Do you also know how to make younger siblings? Oh my God, what did she hear? You mean making love?" Little Mickey looked at Mommy strangely. Confirming that she heard correctly, Qian took a breath and looked at Tangyuj, who had been very calm from beginning to end. She watched him pick away the rice grains that she had splashed out, and did not hesitate to continue eating other dishes, with a face on her face. He also wiped the rice grains on his hair with a tissue, leaving only a few grains in his hair that were not wiped off. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1402. Chapter 1402 You taught your son bad things too. Confirming that she heard correctly, Qian took a breath and looked at Tangyuj, who had been very calm from beginning to end. She watched him pick away the rice grains that she had splashed out, and did not hesitate to continue eating other dishes, with a face on her face. He also wiped the rice grains on his hair with a tissue, leaving only a few grains in his hair that were not wiped off. "Mr. Tang, you didn't teach me these words, did you?" As a mother, Jian knows that education will have to wait until Mickey is a little older to start, and even the education will not use such straightforward words. Why does my son know this? It is impossible to know for no reason. Mr. Tang must have taught his son badly. "Mr. Tang, how old is little Mickey?" "He's less than 3 years old." Even if your son is usually very smart and has good learning ability, you still need to know how to selectively teach him some useful things instead of teaching these things that are inappropriate for children. As parents, as a father, you need to reflect. Jian Yaitong's education was identified as being taught by Tang Yuj. Tang Yuj showed an innocent expression, turned his head and looked at his son, and actually started to pretend to be innocent. "Son, did Daddy do this?" "No," little Mickey shouted loudly. "Do I still need a daddy to teach me these things? I can find out by myself by searching on the internet. But when you were fighting inside in the morning, I didn't quite understand what you were doing, so I called the police uncle to consult, but I didn't expect it to be true. It's useful. He told me that you are making younger brothers and sisters, but that doesn't mean you are making love." Little Mickey's analysis is clear and logical, as if I am a genius child and you are making too much fuss. What's so surprising about this? At this time, Tang Yuj and Jian were dumbfounded. They were shocked that their son understood these words. They did not expect that their son, a genius child, also knew how to use resources and called the police uncle. "Oh my God, I don't have the shame to go out to meet people." Jian covered her face and beat her chest. Tang Yuj also twitched the corners of his mouth, trying to calm down his emotions. "Son, whose phone did you use to make the call? It's your own." Little Mickey shook his head and pointed at Tang Yuj. "It's yours. Your cell phone was on the table last night, so I looked for the takeaway phone number I had stored in it to order takeout, and then used your phone to ask the police uncle. Look at how smart he is, he knows how to use Daddy's mobile phone to find resources." Tang Yuj's mouth twitched rapidly, and he didn't know what to say for a moment. If he used his mobile phone to call the police, there must be a record. He called Tang Yuj, the chairman of the Dihao group, for consultation. Wasn't he just telling others that his son called to ask about his parents? What a fuss! Little Mickey looked at Daddy and Mommy's reaction with an idiotic look on his face. Is it such an exaggeration? It's not just a phone call. Little did he know how embarrassing the situation was. To little Mickey, those were just some words and he didn't understand the shyness in them at all, so he didn't understand what Jian and the others were sighing about. "Little Mickey, don't ask others about this kind of thing in the future, and don't tell others why your parents usually fight in the room." Tang Yuj began to educate his son with a straight face. "Why?" Little Mickey was puzzled. He was a curious baby. "Because others will laugh at you." Tang Yuj felt depressed in his heart. If his friends knew about it, he would definitely be laughed at for many years. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1403. Chapter 1403. It was you who taught your son bad things. 3. Laughing at me, little Mickey held his chin and thought for a moment. He suddenly remembered that when he was on the phone yesterday, the policeman was indeed laughing for a while, and he was laughing so inexplicably. Emotions are a very shameful thing. You are all adults, why do you do embarrassing things? Little Mickey was angry and couldn't figure out why his parents were so keen on doing embarrassing things. Jian mouth twitched and she gave up education and left this matter to men. She still stayed in the air and immersed herself in eating. The relationship with Tang Yuj has progressed rapidly, and Qian Yuman has completely settled in their home, but she is still the one in the guest room. She knew that she couldn't eat hot tofu in a hurry, but she didn't dare to share a bed with him directly for fear of making Tangyuj angry and driving her away. So everything is done slowly. If you don't move over, it doesn't mean you can't touch it at night, just like that night. The relationship with Tangyuj has gotten much better, and Qian Yuman's mood has become brighter. When she wants to go out to play, she leaves her son with Tangyuj. The relationship between Tangyuj and little Mickey is getting better and better, although they still quarrel occasionally. The employees of the emigrant group also began to often see the young master of their group, following the chairman to and from get off work every day, and occasionally the legendary Mrs. Tang would come. In the past few days, countless women in the entire emigrant group have lost their love, and their male actually has a wife. Everyone also dug into Qian Yuman's identity and found out that she was Tangyu's ex-wife and they had twins. Looking at the way the two get along, everyone understands that the chairman and his wife have obviously gotten back together, and they have no chance at all. The wife of the chairman is beautiful, her family background is good, she is also a diplomat, and most importantly, she gave birth to a pair of lovely twins for Mr. Tang, which even their flatterers cannot catch up with. On this day, Qian Yuman took her son to a community. When she arrived at the community, Qian Yuman frowned in disappointment. Do Lulu and the others live in such a poor condition? This community obviously has a history of 30 or 40 years, so it is considered an old community. Didn't she remember that Lu Rong gave Yang Yanliu 5 million? Shouldn't live in this shabby place. Qian Yuman took her son's hand and found Yang Yanliu's home. Not long after ringing the doorbell, Yang Yanliu came out wearing an apron and opened the door, holding a spatula in his hand. Teacher Qian, are you here? Yang Yanliu smiled brightly and gently, calling Qian Yuman to come in quickly. Her eyes fell on little Mickey, who was several months older than her son. This is the son of teacher and brother Xingai. He looks exactly like teacher. Anyone who sees Qian Yuman and little Mickey will not doubt that they are mother and daughter, they look so much alike. It can only be blamed on the fact that both Tangyuj and Qian Yuman have good genes, and their children all look like one of them. Yes, little Mickey, call me auntie. Hello, beautiful aunt, little Mickey smiled shyly and greeted Yang Yanliu politely. He also praised Yang Yanliu. Despite his young age, little Mickey will definitely be a leader in the social world in the future. Little Mickey and brother Wang Wang are about the same age. I asked Wang Wang to come out and play with you. Yang Yanliu turned around and shouted at me. Wang Wang, your aunt is here and she brought you a lot of food. The son of Yang Yanliu and Tang Xingai ran out and dragged little Mickey to show off the transformers that mommy had just bought for him yesterday. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1404. Chapter 1404. Passionate people are always hurt by ruthless people. 1. The son of Yang Yanliu and Tang Xingai ran out and dragged little Mickey to show off the transformers that mommy had just bought for him yesterday. Although it was the first time for little Mickey and little Wang Wang to meet, they were both children after all, so they quickly became familiar with each other. It's rare to have friends to play with, and little Wang Wang is very happy. Qian Yuman accompanies Yang Yanliu and gets busy in the kitchen, stealing the delicacies she has prepared from time to time. Lulu, is that okay? You've already practiced cooking. When you look at it, I remember that you seem to know how to cook tomatoes and eggs. I didn't expect that your cooking skills have become so good now, Qian Yuman praised while eating. Ever since I had Wang Wang, I didn't want him to accompany me when eating out, so I had to learn cooking skills by myself. Okay. This is the right idea. As long as I have time, I will personally cook for the children. Qian Yuman wanted to take over Yang Yanliu's follow-up work, but Yang Yanliu refused several times because she was a guest, so she had to beat him from the side. Qian Yuman observed Yang Yanliu's every move. During this period, they would often have some contact. No matter how they got along, they felt that the girl in front of her was not like what Grandma Tang said, someone who could sell her children and love for the sake of her future. Looking at her appearance, she is not much different from a few years ago, but she is more perfect. She has maternal love and the tenacity of a mother, and her gentle expression is even more dazzling when she looks at her child. How many men would like this type? Qian Yuman's mind started to move quickly. She smiled slightly and came close to her. Lulu, let's go shopping in the afternoon. Sure. Qian Yuman smiled mysteriously. I'm not talking about taking the kids with you, but it's just you and me. It's troublesome to take the kids with you. Without the children. Yes, yes, Qian Yuman nodded wildly, smiling and hugging Yang Yanliu's shoulders. I'll leave the kids to my guy, and you and I can go play. Xingai's eldest brother, Yang Yanliu's face became a little unnatural and he shook his head quickly. If brother Xingai sees little Wang Wang, will Xingai also know about it? I'm afraid that the Tang family will steal the child from me. Yang Yanliu was a little scared. She was actually particularly worried that one day the Tang family would find out about Xiao Wangguang's existence. After all, Xiao Wangguang is a descendant of the Tang family and the only son of Tang Xingai. If he was found out, she didn't dare to think about the consequences. Yang Yanliu didn't know how long she would stay when she came back this time. Yang Yanliu has been living abroad in the past few years, but her parents are still living in China. This time she came back because Yang Yanliu's father was seriously ill, so she temporarily returned to China and rented a house in the same community at home. Yang Yanliu's father's illness came suddenly, and he would not be able to recover within 3 or 4 months. If there was no way, she would not return to S City. During her return, she lived very cautiously, fearing that she would be discovered by people from the Tang family. Then leave it to Tianyu, it's Wang Tianyu who we were in Berlin last time, he is now my personal nanny. Wang Tianyu, Yang Yanliu quickly searched for Wang Tianyu's information in his mind, and also knew that he was only related to Tang Yuj and the Tang family. What are you worried about? I will ask God to keep it a secret for us. Really? Qian Yuman patted her chest and reassured her again and again before Yang Yanliu agreed. Wang Tianyu, the hard-working personal nanny, didn't ask any questions when he picked up the child, and there was no strange expression on his face. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1405. Chapter 1405. Passionate people are always hurt by ruthlessness too. Qian Yuman patted her chest and reassured her again and again before Yang Yanliu agreed. Wang Tianyu, the hard-working personal nanny, didn't ask any questions when he picked up the child, and there was no strange expression on his face. It was rare that she didn't need to take her son with her, so Yang Yanliu's tense nerves were relaxed and she finally returned to the state she should have at her age. No matter how old Yang Yanliu's child is now, she is actually only 20 years old at the moment. I went to college abroad and brought children. I had been resting for a year in order to have a child, so Yang Yanliu was just a freshman at this moment. Let's go shopping, the local rich will pay for it today. Qian Yuman patted her chest boldly and rushed to the mall with Yang Yanliu. While shopping, Qian Yuman was even more sure of her inner thoughts. There must be a reason for Yang Yanliu back then. When I went to her community before, I found it to be very shabby and the room decoration was also very old. When I went shopping with her this time, I didn't look like someone who was used to living a good life. Even though Qian Yuman said she would pay the bill, Yang Yanliu was still embarrassed and insisted on paying the bill herself. When buying things, she would give up because of the price. Although she didn't show it on the surface, her wise eyes could still see it. She is a person who does not spend money carelessly, and the clothes she wears are ordinary clothes. Logically speaking, Yang Yanliu took away 5 million and could not spend it all in 4 to 5 years. I struggled for a while to buy a dress that costs RMB 2000 to RMB 3000. Such a girl? Will you really do anything for money? When Qian Yuman insisted on paying for Yang Yanliu, Qian Yuman said something. Lulu, do you have no savings? Why are you so hesitant and don't know how to do it yourself? If you don't have money, I will pay for it. You also know that this card is not mine. Qian Yuman insisted on handing over the black gold card. The waiter also stopped Yang Yanliu from taking the card. This card was a secondary card that Tang Yuj forced on her when she said she wanted to buy clothes. As the saying goes, if you don't use it, it will be in vain, let alone your own man. Teacher, have you forgotten that I am just a student? How can I have so much money? Even if I do, I still have to spend it just for the sake of hope. You are not from the Tang family. Qian Yuman hesitated before speaking, deliberately pretending to cover her mouth with her hands missing. Yang Yanliu was obviously stunned, looking at Qian Yuman blankly, and then looked elsewhere in embarrassment. Qian Yuman raised her eyebrows, thinking that there was indeed something wrong. Should we take the opportunity to pursue this? I don't know if I can say it. Qian Yuman looked at the time on her watch and finally decided not to ask at this time. Anyway, she would have plenty of time in the future. While Yang Yanliu was in a daze for a while, Qian Yuman had successfully swiped his card. Teacher Qian, I have spent a lot of money on you. Yang Yanliu was a little embarrassed, but it was obvious that he was worried. Let's go to that store. Qian Yuman pulled Yang Yanliu and walked to a women's clothing store. Yang Yanliu was walking towards the store arm in arm with Qian Yuman. Suddenly her body froze, and she instinctively lowered her head and turned to leave. Lulu, Qian Yuman asked in confusion, but out of the corner of her eye she accidentally spotted a group of people walking not far away. Teacher, let's leave this mall. What's wrong with you? Qian Yuman didn't move, pretending not to know anything. Let's go first, okay. Yang Yanliu became anxious and began to take his hand out of Qian Yuman's. Go to bed and update tomorrow. Just 6 updates tomorrow. Ha 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 ha. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1406. Chapter 1406. Passionate people are always hurt by ruthlessness. 3. Let's go first, okay. Yang Yanliu became anxious and began to take his hand out of Qian Yuman's. Why? Qian Yuman blinked her eyes innocently. Yang Yanliu was anxious and didn't know what to do. He wanted to turn around and run away, but his feet didn't obey him. At this moment, a large group of people not far away passed by them in less than a minute. Yang Yanliu's expression changed from nervous to escaping. The moment the crowd passed by them, her heart instantly dropped to the ice cellar, and her entire body became cold. He just walked over? He didn't even look at her. Qian Yuman's pretended innocent expression changed, and she frowned slightly and looked at the group of people walking past them. The people passing by Qian Yuman and the others were Tang Xingai and the manager of the shopping mall. This shopping mall belonged to the Dehao Group. As the younger brother of the chairman, Tang Xingai had been a senior executive since he entered the company. In addition, he had been with the family since he was a child. Under the influence of whispers, although he is still a student, he is already better than many people. Today he is here to inspect the mall. Qian Yuman had already found out that Tang Xingai would come to the mall for inspection today, so she deliberately brought Yang Yanliu out to give them a chance to meet. She didn't expect that when Tang Xingai passed by them, he didn't even look at them. Passed by them with an indifferent expression, as if they were all passers-by. This little bastard. Qian Yuman went berserk and pulled Yang Yanliu, who was dumbfounded, towards Tang Xingai. Yang Yanliu seemed to have lost his soul and let Jian Yuman pull him toward Tang Xingai. Tang Xingai, stop here! Jian Yuman roared angrily and called out to Tang Xingai, who was surrounded by mall managers. The crowd stopped. Tang Xingai turned his head and looked at Jian Yuman indifferently. Jian Yuman grabbed Yang Yanliu and ran over. He raised his hand and slapped Tang Xingai on the forehead hard. He jumped up and patted her again. There was no way. Tang Xingai had grown a lot taller in the past few years, and she could no longer easily reach out and slap him on the head. She had to jump up. The managers from last time were frightened by the sudden change. They all watched as the beautiful woman suddenly appeared and violently attacked the chairman's assistant, who was also the chairman's brother. Tang Xingai still had an indifferent expression, his expression showing no change at all against Jian Yuman's attack. Sister-in-law, is something wrong? Sister-in-law. This title made everyone immediately understand why the person in front of them dared to hit Tang Xingai. It turned out to be the wife of the chairman. It was recently rumored that the chairman had remarried, and his beautiful wife often visited the emigrant group to show off his affection. Now that he heard Tang Xingai address her, the credibility of the rumors was even more certain. At this moment, these managers are all gossips. They want to turn around and take out their mobile phones to edit messages and show off the first-hand information to other colleagues. Jian Yuman was like a tigress, with her hands on her waist, pointing at Tang Xingai and scolding him. You also know that I am your sister-in-law. What is your attitude? You don't know how to say hello when you see your sister-in-law? Or do you just not take me as your sister-in-law into consideration? Jian Yuman pretended to be his sister-in-law and scolded Tang Xingai, but she was actually teaching him a lesson for Yang Yanliu. Now Yang Yanliu stood beside Jian Yuman in despair, unable to hear their discussion at all. He was immersed in his own sorrow, and his ruthless face kept flashing before his eyes. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1407. Chapter 1407. Passionate people are always hurt by ruthlessness. 4. Now Yang Yanliu stood beside Jian Yuman in despair, unable to hear their discussion at all. He was immersed in his own sorrow, and his ruthless face kept flashing before his eyes. She would rather Tang Xingai hate her than treat her like nothing, an insignificant stranger. She thought she could accept it, but she didn't expect to see it. She was so shocked that she almost buried herself. I didn't see it. Tang Xingai was still very taciturn. A few more words would cost him his life. What he just said in total is less than 10 words. Do you cherish words like gold? Excuse, your sister-in-law and I are so beautiful, you can't see me. It was totally intentional. Jian Yuman was very sure, but Tang Xingai remained silent without answering, which made Jian Yuman feel depressed. Her eyes looked at Yang Yanliu. At this moment, Yang Yanliu still lowered his head, not looking directly at Tang Xingai, and he didn't know what he was thinking in his mind. He just stood aside blankly. Tang Xingai never glanced at Yang Yanliu, but kept looking at Jian Yuman, who was scolding him. It's nothing, I'll go and get busy. After Tang Xingai finished speaking, he was about to turn around and leave. Jian Yuman wanted to jump up and beat him up, but her cell phone rang. Jian Yuman took out her mobile phone, and while answering the call, she held Yang Yanliu's hand to prevent the coward who was about to escape from escaping. Kenny Appa, are you looking for me? Jian Yuman said hello in a pleasant voice. She was really happy. During this period of time, Kenny didn't come to her or even call her. She didn't dare to call to face Kenny, so I kept waiting for a call from Kenny, but unexpectedly the call came during the confrontation with Tang Xingai. Are you busy? I'm at your 9 o'clock direction. 9 o'clock. Nearby. Jian Yuman quickly searched the scene, and sure enough she saw Kenny not far away, smiling and waving to him. I saw it, wait for me for a few minutes. Jian Yuman hung up the phone and looked at Tang Xingai again. I don't care what you are going to do. Kenny came to see me. I was originally going to take Lulu shopping today, but I don't have time now. As my brother-in-law, you should accompany Lulu on my behalf. As he said this, he stuffed Yang Yanliu into the Tang dynasty. In Xingai's arms, before he could say his words of rejection, he just said one word to him. If you don't listen to me, I will ask Mr. Tang to expel you and throw you back to the Tang family. Jian Yuman smiled slyly, with a mean expression of what will you do to me? Tang Xingai frowned and glared at Jian Yuman displeased, still not looking at Yang Yanliu. I'm leaving. Jian Yuman waved and ran away, throwing out a threatening word before running away. If you don't help my Lulu buy Chinsin's clothes, I'll blame you. After Jian Yuman left, Tang Xingai immediately made a bad face. This sister-in-law is really nosy. Jian Yuman walked for a while, looking back from time to time to see if Tang Xingai had followed orders. It was only a few dozen meters away, but she had walked for 5 minutes, and when he got to the back, Kenny took the initiative to walk towards him. You're so funny. Kenny smiled fondly and reached out to ruffle his hair. Appa, Jian Yuman jumped to his side with a smile and took his arm. I haven't seen you for a long time. I thought you ignored me. I was still sad for several days. Jian Yuman hugged his arm and acted coquettishly. Kenny just rubbed her hair, leaving her hanging in her heart. After more than a month, I finally let go. Afraid that Kenny would completely ignore her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1408. Chapter 1408. Kenny's Sorrow 1. Ever since she knew the truth and ran to Wang Tianyu to ask the matter clearly, she had never put her mind on Kenny. She only wanted to go to Mr. Tang to apologize and ask for forgiveness, but she neglected one thing. She forgot to talk to Kenny about their wedding, and she completely ignored her. She could not have ignored him more thoroughly. Since she knew the truth, she flew to find Tang Yuj. Preparations for the wedding with Kenny had already begun, the invitations had been sent out, and the wedding was a certainty. She had given up on herself at first, thinking that this might be a beautiful misunderstanding. After knowing the truth, she completely forgot about her and Kenny and their wedding, and she never told Kenny about not getting married. She didn't think about it carefully at first, thinking that he should understand even if she didn't tell him. Later, she realized that many people knew about it. After the wedding was cancelled and many friends called to express their condolences, she finally realized that she didn't seem to have asked Kenny for help. Make this clear. Kenny didn't say anything and quietly cancelled the wedding. He withstood the condolences from all sides and the pressure from his father's family, who believed that Kenny was treating the marriage as a trivial matter. Jian Yuman also heard many rumors that Kenny was given a 3-month leave by his father as punishment. Kenny did not call her during this period. She once tried to call but failed to get through. After that, she did not dare to call. She thought Kenny was still angry, so he didn't answer her call. She was depressed for a long time, not to mention feeling very disappointed. Unexpectedly, Kenny came to see Jian Yuman again. Jian Yuman was naturally so happy that she pulled Kenny and started to act like a baby. How could I ignore you? Kenny said helplessly and dotingly. In a simple sentence, he expressed his deep reluctance and affection. How could he ignore her? Is it possible? During the time when Tangyuj was not around, Kenny Appa was always by her side, acting as a father to help her take care of little Mickey. In her heart, Kenny is like a brother. She has no pressure in front of him and acts like a little sister. If Kenny really stopped interacting with her because of her choice, she would die of grief, as if she had lost one of her closest relatives. Phone? I don't know, maybe I didn't see it. There were always a lot of calls at one time, so I muted the phone at home and didn't answer it, maybe including you. Kenny smiled and comforted Jian Yuman's depressed mood. Jian Yuman was stunned, her little cherry mouth pouted sadly. Sorry, Kenny Appa. This sentence has been repeated in her mind countless times, waiting for the opportunity for them to meet and apologize to him. I should have made it clear to you at the beginning, and I shouldn't have used you to try to forget Mr. Tang. After that, I didn't accompany you to resolve the cancellation of the wedding, and I didn't even tell you about the cancellation of the engagement. I'm sorry for you. It's nothing, it's all trivial. Kenny smiled indifferently, but deep inside Jian Yuman's invisible heart, there was a wound that had not had time to heal. A small thing? Is it really a trivial matter? It's no big deal to Kenny. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1409. Chapter 1409. Kenny's Sorrow 2. A small thing? Is it really a trivial matter? It's no big deal to Kenny. After finally hoping for success, the days when Jian Yuman agreed to marry him were the happiest days in his life. I happily told my family that I was getting married and was anxious to prepare for the wedding, but I didn't expect that everything would change. Jian Yuman knew the truth of what happened that year, and knew that she had misunderstood Tangyuj for many years. She also learned from Wang Tianyu that everything was a misunderstanding, and that Ruru was still her and Tangyuj's biological daughter. She once again broke away from her hands and returned to Tangyuj, tirelessly asking for Tangyuj's forgiveness. And he changed from a man who was full of joy and ready to be a bridegroom to a man who was lovelorn. In addition, I felt guilty in my heart for concealing Tianyu's fault in the first place. I didn't even dare to fight for it, so I could only watch her leave. After cancelling the wedding, Jian Yuman returned to China. When he returned home, he faced the accusations from his family and suffered the pain of losing Jian Yuman. He said he didn't answer her call because he didn't see it, but in fact he didn't dare to answer her call, and he didn't want to meet and talk to her when he was in a low mood, for fear that he would say something that would hurt their feelings. He hid himself, licked his wounds slowly, and allowed his emotions to calm down before he dared to meet her again. He positioned himself as her eternal knight, and a knight is a princess who cannot harm him. So after adjusting my mentality, I could no longer endure the pain of lovesickness and came to see Jian Yuman again. Even if he just watched it from a distance, he was satisfied. Jian Yuman gently let go of Kenny's arm, her eyes still slightly red, bowed deeply, and apologized again. Appa, I'm sorry. This apology is my apology for our relationship. I know your feelings for me, but I still want to make it clear today. In my heart, you will always be the most beloved brother. There is no any love between men and women. I know how good you are to me, but can you and I put aside any love between men and women and have a pure friendship exchange? Jian Yuman has been brewing these words in his heart for a long time, and thinks that today is the best opportunity to speak clearly. She was a little selfish in the past. She knew his feelings for her, but did not keep a distance and enjoyed the days of being loved. It's different now. She has Mr. Tang and she shouldn't be so pampered by Kenny anymore. It's unfair to Kenny. She didn't want to lose him as a friend, so she could only speak clearly to prevent him from living in a glimmer of hope. If I can't do it, will you disappear from me? Kenny couldn't help clenching his fists hanging by his sides, but he still had a gentle and doting smile on his face and spoke calmly. He has adjusted his mentality and only protects her by her side, without asking for her love. Isn't it possible that she doesn't want to be like this? Is it because of Tangyuj? Is it possible not to love her? Now is she going to deprive him of the right to love her? Just for a few seconds, Kenny's heart was in a turmoil, not as calm as he appeared on the surface. I won't do anything. I may keep a distance from you after all, there are differences between men and women. It would be bad for everyone if they were misunderstood by Mr. Tang or misunderstood by outsiders as a frivolous person. Qian Yuman didn't want to go to this point, so she wanted to have a clear talk with Kenny to avoid this happening. She couldn't bear to let him, who was like an elder brother, drift away in the end. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1410. Chapter 1410 Kenny's Sorrow 3. Qian Yuman's answer made Kenny's heart sink to the bottom instantly. The wound that had finally healed a little was cut open by a sharp knife. Not only was his heart bleeding, as if the sky was falling apart, but he also had to keep smiling to prevent her from seeing anything unusual about him. He understands what she is thinking. He has always been the person who understands her best and knows why she made the choice she did. He could hardly help but hold her loudly and said, it's impossible not to love her in this life. It would be easier to just let him die than to give up not loving him. But he can't do that. Doing so will only scare her and make it difficult for her to be a human being. As she said, the relationship between them is gradually drifting apart. He would not allow such a thing to happen, and he could not let her completely disappear from his world. Do not love? Haha, he will try, knowing that he will fail. Pretending not to love may be the best choice. Kenny figured it out in his mind that the wound in his heart was a big gaping hole that could not be healed overnight, or perhaps in this lifetime, but he still smiled and patted Qian Yuman's head lovingly, smoothing away her inner anxiety. Don't worry. My love for you has not reached the point where I am absolutely bound to you. Not to mention, I recently met a nice girl and am going to get along with her. And you will always be my sister now and in the future. Just like Xiaoling. Kenny casually said a lie to appease Qian Yuman. There was no girl. It was just a lie from him. Xiaoling is Lan Tianlu's wife, and towards Xiaoling, he truly loves her as a sister, which is completely different from his feelings towards Qian Yuman. Hearing Kenny's words, Qian Yuman opened her mouth in surprise and said with some surprise. Really? Who is it? Do I know him? Have I seen him before? The worry that Qian Yuman pressed on her chest slowly faded away, and she immediately transformed into a gossip, curiously approaching him to gossip. Kenny had a headache for a moment. Where could such a person exist? It was just a lie, he told casually. Appa, you didn't lie to me just to appease me, did you? Qian Yuman narrowed her eyes and pouted dissatisfiedly. How could it be? Isn't this? Kenny looked around and suddenly saw a woman he had known for a while appearing not far away. She happened to be the woman he met by chance today. Kenny's conversation changed. She's around too. Really? Qian Yuman looked around excitedly, looking for a girl who might be Kenny's favorite. Take me to take a look quickly, so I can check it for you. Qian Yuman's eager look gave Kenny a headache, so he could only pull Qian Yuman towards the woman. Qian Yuman had already excitedly begun to guess what kind of person that woman was. She searched quickly and thought that the one Kenny thought was good must be a beautiful woman. If she wasn't a very good woman, she would definitely be very eye-catching. After searching, Qian Yuman saw a familiar figure. The woman was wearing a hot outfit and was drawing strokes on her body with a bikini. Qian Yuman's eyes almost popped out when she saw it. She looked around and after confirming that only this woman was worthy of Kenny, she exclaimed. Heaven! Earth! Appa, your vision is really good. Look, you have to have a good figure, and you have to have a butt, but those are a bit too small. Guess who it is? Ha ha ha. You guessed it and got a kiss from me. All the votes were thrown at me. End of this chapter.